All right, so the photo essay that we're going to study today is from Kisha Ravi, who is actually a photo editor at NPR, which makes sense that we would find her photo essay on the Picture Show blog, just like we have many of the other ones that we've talked about. But hers is interesting in several respects. Hers is very similar to Pete Keihart's in a certain way, in that it involves Kisha Ravi's returning to her childhood home, and then because of restrictions on international travel, then having to kind of self quarantine in her childhood bedroom for 2 weeks. So essentially, the photo essay is made up of 14 images for 14 days of isolation, essentially an image a day. Now, so it's similar to Pete Keihart's in that it involves kind of like isolation in your childhood home, in your childhood room, but it's dissimilar in that she wasn't sick; she was self quarantining just out of precaution, but also when she returned home, she found that her childhood bedroom wasn't quite the safe place that she had imagined it was going to be on her return flight home. Rather, having grown up with major depressive disorders, her her childhood bedroom kind of after she left, I guess, kind of became a time capsule for a lot of those issues that she had as a younger woman growing up. And so to isolate herself in that room for 14 days, she needed some sort of creative outlet to kind of process everything that she was going through. Let's take a look at the images. So, in her own words in this photo essay, she says, quote, "Yet my bedroom, which was supposed to be a safe space throughout self-isolation, brought back memories and triggers of some of the darkest times in my life. When I was around 16, I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder. As a teenager, I spent hours feeling intensely small and sad in that room. left alone there now at 22, at times I felt like I had never left. So I took photos as a way of processing the overwhelming. This series of 14 photographs explores the various emotions that 14 days of self-isolation brought. But there's also other things that make this photo essay different than some of the other ones that we've looked at. It's also similar to Amy Parrish's in a certain way, because we have a photographer that is using mixed media on top of the photographs in order to make art. So that in and of itself is kind of interesting. And it appears certainly like she's just kind of using things that she has that had been left lying around her childhood bedroom, things like acrylic paints that she kind of scrounged together. But also, she uses an instant camera, and she speaks about that a little bit further on in the essay. She says, quote, "For the series, I chose Instax as my medium as they're instant, raw, and real. I wanted to capture a feeling, see it develop, and hold it, touch it, and play with it." So the medium then becomes part of the message. The fact that she's using instant film is not random happenstance. It's part of the message of the photo essay itself. The idea that you could create something tangible that you can hold instantly. She's not taking photographs and looking at them on a computer. She doesn't have a darkroom in this tiny bedroom. So this was her opportunity to do that. And then because so many of them turn out to be failed exposures in one way or another, no instant camera is perfect. So then she kind of reappropriates some of the more failed experiments in making images by working over the top of them with these paints that she has had lying around. And then, of course, each image is accompanied by some sort of a written statement. Sometimes, they're pretty straightforward. Like she talks about the view out her window as kind of like the view that she gets before she starts her day at work. And some of them are a little bit more conceptual, a little bit more metaphorical, a little bit more emotive, like, thinking of who I am when I'm alone. And they certainly add something to our perception of the images too. The words and the images work together in order to kind of create something bigger than the sum of its individual pieces. It's almost like a diptych, right? A diptych is a single work of art that's comprised of two individual works of art displayed together. So they are not necessarily to be taken separate. Those handwritten, it's important to note, those handwritten little statements that accompany each photograph are not separate works of art. They are part of the whole experience of viewing the photograph. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Certainly send me an email if you have thoughts, or if you enjoyed this photo essay. Perhaps next time we have a response worksheet. Consider kind of deconstructing this one and critiquing this one. Hope you guys are doing good.